The poem is Song by George Oppen.
Did you want to read it?
Yes, I do. There's a Latin phrase at the beginning of it. Veritas sequitur. In the small beauty of the forest, the wild deer bedding down, that they are there. Their eyes effortless, the soft lips nuzzle, and the alien small teeth tear at the grass. The roots of it dangle from their mouths, scattering earth in the strange woods. They who are there, their paths nibbled through the fields, the leaves that shade them hang in the distances of sun. The small nouns crying faith in this in which the wild deer startle and stare out. Not to reveal all the aspects of objectivism, but at its heart is the desire is to create the poem, make the poem into an object, and use simplicity of language and precision as a way of revealing existence. The Latin phrase veritas sequitur esse really translates roughly into truth as a consequence of the existence. I think the way to come at this and experience that is to focus on some of the language. And the thing that strikes me in the beginning is to ask, who are they? Where are they? What is their experience?
I take this just for the simplicity that I see on the page. And that line, that they are there, is a paean just to existence of something like this. And the last thing I think they are is human beings. I think this is an existential, the nature kind of poem. It reminds me of the pictures of nature that were in the era of, I guess it was in the late 1800s. Anyway, explorers going around and showing you what the world really is, and showing you pictures of what really exists in the world. The National Geographic, that's their forte. They often don't explain much, but you look at the pictures and you realize this is a beautiful thing. So to me, this is a beautiful word picture, and it simply exists as it is, and that they are there means the wonder of the fact that these deer and this place exists, that they are there.
And I like the sense of astonishment that this poem conveys.
Yeah.
That this is just one heck of a miracle.
Right. And you couldn't be hardly simpler in terms of explaining what's there.
I concur with everything everyone has said, and I have a slightly different take on it. In one sense, I think that they are critters.
Are what now?
Critters.
Yeah.
Who live in the grass and who are kind of the bedrock of existence, namely crickets, ticks, you name it. And that it's from their point of view that you see the deer and you see the meadow. And they're the ones with soft lips and small teeth. And they're the ones with roots in their mouths. And they're the ones who are small nouns. And I think that he's focusing on them as the ground of being or existence in this picture of existence, of nature.
I think having cleaned many a deer, their teeth are not they're not meat eaters. They don't have the giant incisors. To me, when I think of small teeth, I can see that with a deer. And the soft lips, I think, is consistent with the anatomy I saw. So,
Why did he use the word alien, small teeth? That word of a lot of words, he could use shiny, bright, white, why are they alien? I couldn't figure that out.
I would go with being so different from ours. That is, we're the carnivores, and these animals are just, these deer, there's just an alien feel to it with their small teeth. But you raise a good point.
It's a strange word to put into a really simple scene.
You see, I think that the key to it, this is the world in which the wild deer startle. Who are they startling?
I thought it was that they were startled, the deer themselves. I can see why you might think of that in a different way. But I thought that in this sense, the wild deer startled, meaning they are startled themselves.
Yeah, they're bedding down, and now something disturbs them, and they startle.
Mm-hmm.
A sound, and deer are very easily startled. If you've observed deer, so they hear and smell things that we can't imagine, and they startle very easily.
Yeah, my one surprise was if you startle a deer, they're going to run. They're not going to stop and stare. But it depends on the level of startle.
Right.
If they first hear something and they're not sure, the ears are going to go up.
And their head goes up.
Yep.
Their nostrils start. Trying to find out what's going on.
Precisely. And so then...
If it's threatening, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're just gone.
So startle can mean instantly wary.
Right.
Without necessarily hightailing it out of there.
But the three words in this poem that, again, stand out to me are the small nouns, crying faith.
Mm-hmm.
What do nouns have to do with any of this?
I thought that just generally an assertion of things, that they exist.
I guess maybe our ability to use symbols to show this, maybe, if you didn't have any words and you saw this scene, you wouldn't need words. I mean, words would be extraneous. You see it and you would experience it. So I guess you need nouns to describe it.
Well, there are these things out there.
I think that the simplicity of this language is to limit the use of words to label or define something and allow it to be somewhat ambiguous. And so their, small nouns are ambiguous in the way that they label and describe.
Yeah.
But the small nouns do something. The small nouns cry faith.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean in this?
Yeah,
And
this
in
scene,
here again, in this,
in
rather
this
than
scene,
the meadow or
the deer themselves, the whole scene. And that's what he starts in the beginning, that they are there. That they're even there is a miracle.
Is this a poetic attempt to say these objects are real? It's not just somebody's subjectivity painting a picture here, but it's truly in existence. They are there.
And in existential world, it would be an effort to describe the thing in itself or suchness.
Right.
That it exists.
Yeah.
Well, I did read that Heidegger had an influence on Oppen, and this might be a good point to...
And one of the aspects of Heideggerian philosophy is called the ground of being, where we're going to suspend notions of God and existence and our interpretation of it and go much deeper into existence. And at this level, Heidegger uses the term Dasein, which is kind of like we're thrown into existence. And in that thrown, conditioned reality, all we can really describe is a ground of being, not a God-created world or a man-created world. How do we get to that ground of being, which is the ultimate understanding of existence? And so you use, as Heidegger wrote on and on and on describing things, the poet is taking that notion to say, how do we get closer to that reality with an economy of expression?
Yeah, that's what this does.
And the reality that he's getting closer to is objectively there.
Yes, Heidegger believes that.
Or the small beauty of the forest. Interesting, he would say small.
Interesting what? Say that again.
In the small beauty of the
Yeah.
forest.
The small nouns.
And the small nouns.
Yeah.
So the minimalist concept, the minimum you have to do to experience this, to me, is what this is. And there's nothing in this poem that requires us as, as humans, as another kind of creature, to influence this at all. It exists just the way it is. And all the poet's trying to do is put you there the best he can so you can experience it without messing with it, without interfering with it with intellect primarily. So you use the small nouns. You mentioned Williams as being part of this school.
Yes.
One of the things I feel about Williams is that his purpose too was to call our attention to really simple things that most poets of old weren't interested in.
Yes.
The dirt in the back of the dirt lot in the back of a hospital, the alleyway in a hospital.
Yeah.
Things that most of the foregoing poets would not think interesting at all to write poetry about. And this is more romantic, but it's still nonetheless simply the objects that are there.
There was one critic who said of this poem that it easily could have been connected to Heidegger, a phrase from Heidegger's What is Philosophy? And it is that, and this is Heidegger, in astonishment we restrain ourselves, we step back as it were from the fact that it is as it is and not otherwise.
That's right.
I think that's...
And the classic work by Heidegger is called Time and Being in Time. And it really is an exercise into sort of an aspect of existentialism, which is to begin with existence, not with God and man and history and every other thing, which imposes on to what existence is subjective human reference.
And then there's another place where this critic, quoting a UW professor who was interviewing Oppen, he asked the question, what exactly is the faith? And I believe they were referring to song. And Oppen says, well, that the nouns do refer to something, that it's there, that it's true. The whole implication of these nouns, that appearances represent reality, whether or not they misrepresent it, that this in which the thing takes place, the thing is here, and that these things do take place.
Yes, and faith would be, an appeal to another aspect of this whole way of looking at things, which is there's stuff we don't know, and we take it. And,
Well-
and it's an ongoing exercise to reveal it. Back to the Latin quote, truth as a consequence of the existence. Truth could be the outcome of logical analysis, right? In the mind. And here it's an ongoing exercise in exposing it for us, simply to be amazed.
Well, not necessarily amazed though, but just to accept it. There is, in this poem, there's no why. Why is this here? There's no why. You don't have to worry about why.
Yeah,
You have to accept the fact that it's there, and you don't have to have any how. There's no how in this.
No.
How did it happen?
no,
Why did it happen?
no,
The poet doesn't care.
no.
It's just there, and you look at it, and that's it.
Darwin and God don't
Yeah,
matter.
let's don't discuss it.
Yeah,
Let's just look at it and accept the fact that it's there.
No how, no why, no when. There's only
Right.
what.
and I think using they and their and nouns and small all appeal to that.
Well, all the nouns are field, earth, deer, mouths, lips. Those are the nouns. Those are the small nouns.
Yeah.
I've read the indented lines at the start of the second, third, fourth, fifth stanza. Their eyes, the roots of it, their paths, the small nouns. I don't know if that amounts to anything, but must be a reason why he does that really strong indentation.
Yeah. He's pointing to what comes next.
Well, it repeats too. They're the. So it has a kind of.
Symmetry at the very
Yes, a
least.
symmetry, yes.
He's a great craftsman. There is, the usual, what you would come to expect of poets, the alliteration. And then also in the lines, there's a balance, scattering earth in the strange woods.
Well, in the craft, there are 3 lines in each stanza.
Yep.
And
That's
then
right.
one line that introduces it.
That's right.
And it's, it's crafted beautifully.
One expression, their eyes effortless. When you think how we strain to see, and yet they're seeing.
Their eyes effortless. Boy, talk about alliteration.
This is wonderful. How can the poet communicate a realization of the concrete object as object without drawing the reader's attention to the way in which he communicates?
It's a really good point. If you look through this, where are the metaphors? Where are the similes?
There you go.
That it is, just flat representation of
Right.
what's there.
Right. We should mention, why is this a song? What is a song?
Oh, good point.
Well, it's a
Song
sacred.
is a song. Song means you're transmitting your thoughts in a song, because real psalms are meant to be sung. The biblical songs are Hebrew songs. They're songs.
When you use the title song, there's a connotation of holiness.
Yes,
Sacred.
absolutely.
Yes.
That's even a better word.
Yeah. Sacred.
And that, you feel that in this poem. That
Yeah.
this is, what we've witnessed here is sacred.